Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody watching, and thank you for the Christmas wishes on my segment prior to this one. Merry Christmas, have a safe and wonderful and beautiful Christmas Eve and holiday season and Christmas, and thank you so very, very much for watching and just for being so supportive this past year. Tell your friends about this channel, hit subscribe, and get all notifications. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an early Christmas present, or a Christmas present for tonight. I want to explain something that most people haven't grasped or don't see yet, and that's President Trump is being tormented by the Southern District of New York in a blatant political stunt, just like the Mueller probe. Just like Crossfire Hurricane. They're going after him on the assumption that something possibly bad took place, but they have to investigate. So when they make allegations against President Trump that are baseless, fueled only by suspicion, they must investigate and leave no stone unturned. If it's 1,000 affidavits, one or two of the people who have made claims, they're shady, so that just ignore the rest of the 998 plus signed documents under oath, under penalty of perjury. Just ignore the 26-page Peter Navarro report, but definitely investigate James Clapper's ODNI report, based on high to moderate confidence. So they never had anything on President Trump. He didn't work with Russia. Nobody was ever indicted on conspiring to work on working alongside intelligence officials from any other country or the Kremlin. That never happened. He never was impeached on a crime. And we're going to get to that in a second. And he didn't commit these massive financial crimes that the Southern District is investigating. That is a political stunt. I just want to read you a couple of things. First off, Michael Cohen testified before impeachment. They impeached President Trump on obstruction of Congress and abuse of power. Two subjective allegations that are not linked to any legal statutes because they're not crimes. Any president, from Washington to Trump, including President Obama. President Obama's Attorney General Eric Holder was held in contempt of Congress. So you can accuse any president. The Louisiana Purchase didn't go through Congress, okay? That could have been seen at that point as obstruction of Congress or an abuse of power. You can go through any president and say, yeah, you circumvented Congress, and we're going to impeach you because of this. But they didn't impeach President Trump on a crime. That's important because Michael Cohen is now fueling this investigation in the Southern District where they say, Trump might go to jail after he's president. He won't have the protections of the presidency. First of all, they could have indicted President Trump. I think it was Lawrence Tribe it was Harvard professor Lawrence Tribe that made a big stink and wrote a lot about how Trump could be indicted. Yeah, you know what? The presidency the Constitution doesn't protect a president from legal consequences of criminal activity. Of course, a president could be indicted. That was it was a memo from George W. Bush's Justice Department that is not law. It's when they refer to a president not being the DOJ not being able to indict a president, that's a memo that has to do with just protocol. It's not a law. But anyway, they didn't indict President Trump for working alongside Russian intelligence officials or for strong-arming and leveraging the Ukrainian president to investigate Biden, in which we know now his son Caligula deserved that investigation. He was being investigated since 2018. He should never have been impeached. Biden should have been investigated, but that's a whole other story. We know now that President Trump was right about asking Zelensky to look into the very, very suspicious activity of Biden's son Caligula and Biden's suspicious activity. But here, I want to read you this. Cohen pleads guilty to tax evasion, bank fraud. They're going after Sidney Powell's sources. They're saying, oh my God, look, We shouldn't even take them seriously. Should we take Michael Cohen seriously? He pleaded guilty to $4 million to failure to report $4 million. How do you fail to report $4 million? So he according to the plea, Cohen failed to report more than $4 million in income to the IRS. How do you do that? $4 million in income? Okay, that's you go to jail for that. So $4 million in income. Then he pled guilty to campaign finance violations that, by the way, they didn't go after Trump for because he pled guilty for public relations purposes. But here's the issue. They're using Michael Cohen. So this is an article in August of 2018. You fast forward to 2020 today, 2024. December 24th, 2020. Prosecutors have mounting amount of evidence against Trump, Michael Cohen says. Michael Cohen knows nothing. He pled guilty to tax evasion. He knows absolutely nothing. And he pled guilty and made allegations against Trump before impeachment. And he said there was a mountain of evidence before impeachment. And they used nothing. They didn't impeach Trump on a crime, even though they had Michael Cohen's testimony, because the Southern District had nothing on Trump. They had nothing on Trump in 2018. They had nothing on Trump in 2019. They had nothing on Trump in 2020. And they'll have nothing on Trump for the next 4 years. They're simply going after the president to torment him. They didn't go after Clinton, even though there's a mountain of evidence of huge amounts of money, hundreds of millions of dollars flowing into the Clinton Foundation and beneficial treatment taking place for the people who gave the money and the countries who gave the money and the companies who gave the money, But again, see, there's two tiers of justice. It took me a while to realize this. Democrats get away with everything. They won't. I don't think they'll get away with everything in terms of the Durham Probe Special Counsel. And I do believe that there's going to be a special counsel for Caligula. But that's another story. But generally, they have extensions of the Democratic Party. The Southern District of New York is an extension of the Democratic Party. Media, CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times is an extension of the Democratic Party. So they're going after Sidney Powell for her affidavits, and one source saying that, oh my goodness, this source has a court case where there was money involved, like $1,000. Michael Cohen had $4 million he didn't report to the IRS. $4 million. Okay, so yeah, you're going to jail for that. But they still utilize this man as if he's this star witness. He made allegations before impeachment. They did not impeach him on a crime because there was no crime there. But I want to read you this article from today. It has to do with his finances. It has to do with his tax returns. It has to do with his properties. It has to do with his personal financial statements that he made and provided in order to obtain loans. First of all, the loans that you obtain from a bank, that's between you and the bank. That's between you and the bank. It's not between you and the government. So President Trump, if he obtained loans that other real estate developers couldn't have obtained, that's because he has a brand, and that brand helped him become president. He eventually became president of the United States of America. So I think he's doing pretty well in terms of credibility among banks. Maybe not credibility in the eyes of apoplectic, seething, fuming liberals who think that a Steele dossier and an American president being urinated on in a Moscow hotel room should definitely be investigated. And that's, intelligence, raw intelligence. It's just raw refuse, actually, and it was just basically complete lies that were purchased by attorneys working on behalf of Madam Secretary. But that's another story. A number of investigations could cause legal trouble. Okay, so there's only one investigation, and it's a probes by the Attorney General of New York and Washington, D.C., and the Manhattan District Attorney. So the Attorney Generals are going after Trump in New York and Washington, D.C. Notice how Attorney Generals never went after Madam Secretary, even though there was numerous crimes committed. There were numerous crimes committed with servers that had top secret intelligence on them. Nobody even knows how she was able to obtain special access program intelligence and top secret intelligence on servers outside the United States government. But again, you think these people care? You think Democrats and loyal, liberal Democratic politicians care? No. Cohen said he'd been questioned by state attorneys. So we'll just focus on the Southern District. I'm not exactly sure what the attorney generals in Washington, D.C. and New York. It says probes from the attorney generals of Washington, D.C. and New York. I'm not exactly sure what they're going after Trump for, but it's probably a bunch of nonsense. We can look that up in a second. But so now that we've established that Cohen should not be trusted, that he is a person who pled guilty to $4 million in tax evasion. I think it was because of a failed taxi business that he had, because he couldn't develop some, like, all you had to do was develop an app to compete with Uber or Lyft. But that's another story. Brookings, really quickly. Does impeachment require criminal behavior? In a word, no. So all the smartest people in the room acknowledge that President Trump did not commit a crime. So when they say he's a criminal president, the corruption is, oh my God, this is all in the tinfoil hat fantasies of Democrats who have tried to, the word is torment. The word is bully a president because they think he's a bully. Because everything he does, every single day of the past 4 years has been, the country has had to deal with scorned, apoplectic, manic, hysterical liberal Democrats who have looked at Trump and said, oh my God, and meanwhile, these are people that when President Obama did worse on every topic from immigration to foreign policy, they just didn't care. But when it was Trump, any deviation from what they're used to, oh my God, this is horrendous. He's removing Americans from Syria. Oh my goodness, we should never have been there. President Obama should never have brought Americans there. But again, anything President Trump does, even if it has a liberal basis in terms of ideology, the liberals don't care. They just didn't like his personality. That's what it comes down to. They just didn't like his personality. First president to step foot in North Korea, allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. We had record low unemployment under President Trump. We had record highs in the stock market. It wasn't his fault that Democratic governors presided over the worst outcomes in terms of this pandemic. And that's a fact according to the New York Times. But here, the argument that President Trump cannot be convicted on either of the House impeachment accounts because neither count states a crime has assumed an increasingly important role during the Senate trial. And then it goes on to saying, well, this article from Brookings acknowledges that there was no criminal act that Trump had committed for 2017, 2018, and 2019, and the Senate acquitted President Trump. So he's acquitted for life in February, the beginning of February of 2020. So in March, when the pandemic hit, Democrats were completely blindsided because they don't care about anything. They didn't care about anything aside from undermining Trump for 4 years. So they ended impeachment with an acquittal. Even Brookings stated, yeah, he didn't commit any crimes. So 2017, 2018, 2019, 3 years with the special counsel, Trump committed no crime. They couldn't even find a crime that he had committed during the special counsel, that his son committed nothing. They found, thank God, Michael Flynn was pardoned and Stone and Manafort, because what they did was they couldn't find any evidence that they conspired with Russian intelligence officials, which never happened. So they then went after people for process crimes. Oh, you lied to Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok was then fired. Oh, you lied about something, Papadopoulos. Well, Kevin Kleinsmith was indicted. all of these people are now being caught up in John Durham's special counsel. But we finally get to 2020. They didn't find anything on Trump because he didn't commit anything. And they already had Michael Cohen's testimony. Okay? They already had Michael Cohen's testimony. So now they're going to say, oh, well, Michael Cohen's testimony is going to do Trump in. They already had his testimony, but here, and they couldn't find anything. So Manhattan DA intensifies investigation of Trump. This is, December 11th. An article. Prosecutors recently interviewed employees of President Trump's lender and insurance brokerage in the latest indication that he still faces potential threat of criminal charges. Criminal charges for what? They haven't even accused him of a specific crime. They're just investigating. This is how they never investigated Clinton at all. The FBI barely investigated and then said, oh yeah, well, we found top secret intel outside of the United States government, but she didn't mean to do it, so there you go. Any other person would have gone to jail for decades. But with Comey, they said, oh, we couldn't find anything. Then, I believe it was Preet Bharara in New York, investigated the Clinton Foundation for like a second. We found nothing. And there was actually, like, Rudy Giuliani and others they talked about legal statutes. You could look. Immense flows of money into a foundation and then beneficial treatment taking place. And you had servers that were hidden outside of the United States government. I mean, the racket was pretty overt, but they found nothing. So now they're going after President Trump, and they're here. There is no indication that either company is suspected of wrongdoing. So employees at Deutsche Bank and another company, two corporate giants, could be important witnesses. But there's no indication. The company did not. There's no indication here within the New York Times. It says there's no indication that either company is suspected of wrongdoing. So where is this grandiose plot? It says right here within. How can there be no indication that a company did wrongdoing? Yet the allegation is that Trump engaged in criminal behavior with the help of Deutsche Bank and another corporate giant. So, could be important. As two of Mr. Trump's oldest allies and some of the old mainstream companies willing to do regular business with him, they might offer investigators a rich vein of information about the Trump Organization. Did the Trump Organization get millions from Uranium One? Did they get from Rosatom? Did they help facilitate a sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity that President Obama allowed? What did this man do aside from have orange hair and become president and preside over record low unemployment and be the first president to step foot in North Korea? My God. And then you get like this, it's like this social credit score people get for just simply hating on Trump. But they think he's a bully, but they're the bullies. They're the ones who are, and they do it to their own side first. They did it to Bernie Sanders. They cheated Bernie Sanders. And they completely just silenced his voice, which maybe was never a powerful voice to begin with. But because grand jury rules require secrecy, prosecutors have disclosed little about the focus of the inquiry and nothing about what investigative steps that they've taken. That's because there's nothing there. The United States government finally, ladies and gentlemen, as an early Christmas present from yours truly, which, I wish I could give you more, but the United States government has Trump's taxes, you apoplectic, seething, fuming imbeciles, commonly known as Democrats and liberal Democrats. The United States government has Trump's taxes. Okay? So this New York Times article states that the two banks that worked with Trump are not under criminal investigation. The U.S. government has his tax returns. Michael Cohen already pleaded guilty to $4 million in tax evasion and got a sweetheart deal because of it, because of going after Trump. His testimony was not used to indict President Trump or anyone associated with Trump. And so they impeached Trump on two nonsensical accusations that are not legal statutes. Because old Bill Clinton, oh my goodness, they went after me for obstruction of justice and perjury. Somebody up there doesn't like me. So Bill Clinton was actually impeached on a criminal statute. But anyway, give me your thoughts below. The Manhattan District Attorney has nothing on him. Like, nothing. Michael President, former lawyer and fixer. Oh, his fixer. Who were Clinton's fixers, by the way? Oh, they're on social media all the time. We know who they are. So, they have nothing. It examined Trump's organization's role in hush money payments made during that didn't work out for them. Let's look really quickly. Let's see. So the Southern District has nothing on Trump because he did nothing wrong. They haven't even accused him of a specific crime. They're just investigating. Maybe something will pop up. That's not really how you go after criminals. Criminals usually commit crimes before they're investigated or tried. But let's see, Washington, D.C., Attorney General Trump. Let's see here. They're trying to go. They're trying to get him on the emoluments clause but they lost money in they had 92% negative media coverage. So how on earth did they make money from this presidency? That's what I'd like to know. Ivanka Trump deposed Tuesday in D.C. Attorney General's inauguration. So they're going after Trump for 4 years ago, an inauguration lawsuit. Because of money for overpaying for event space at a Trump hotel. Oh my goodness. This is just like the $10 billion raised for the people of Haiti that they never got. That only, 3% were given to the people of Haiti by the Clinton Foundation. Notice how liberals really lose track of the biggest stories and focus on nonsense just for political gain. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Trump is fine in terms of any legal issues after for the next 4 years. I want him to come back in 2024. I think he will. Give me your thoughts below. God bless you all. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays to everybody. Stay safe. And thank you so very much for your support and for always watching this channel. Thank you.